Good evening, one and all. We welcome you to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Arts, Sciences and Well-being. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today, we are celebrating one of the greatest and humble human soul. He is none other than Ratan Tata. We know no matter how much wealth anyone possesses in the world, no matter who stands the richest person in the world, but Tatas have gained a unique name and recognition, and they will be remembered forever in the history, even more than the Queen of Elizabeth or even Facebook or any other media's richest person. We may wonder why so, because of the values, ethics which they followed, and they stood as a role model to the entire world in the business industry. And they are the ones who never ventured into any such thing which can cause harm to planet or to human beings. They are, though we have seen that the largest profit-making industries, alcohol, cigarettes, and various liquor, distillery related, Tata's never stepped into that. Though they can make huge profits, they never exploited, they never took the health of the population for granted. And though there were many opportunities by Tatas to venture into various high-risk hazardous industries where they can make huge profit, but they always stepped back because they have a great concern towards the fellow beings and also other species on the planet. So no matter what, even if you take Ambani's also, or for the matter, any other recent emerged trillionaires or business tycoons, even Facebook or Microsoft, Bill Gates for that matter, even these all were technology because they just came through the technology flow. And remember, earlier people also lived without technology. Technology is recent trend, which is just more than 1 or 2 decades hardly. And there is a very good possibility that tomorrow this technology may be replaced, and there again we may go back to the days where technology may not be necessary, or due to these disasters and the kind of destruction human beings are engaged, there may be more disasters that may leave us with no technology at all. Or for that matter, even if technology is also going to be there, but this kind of digital divide that is existing between the haves and have nots have created a great impact on the poverty, discrimination, and various aspects of ill treatment, abuse, and deprivation of various communities across the world. And more than for the good things, the technology is being used in a very wrong way that is creating a huge impact on not only human beings but also other beings. And today we have seen the kind of destruction that it is causing, these modern science and technologies aggravating the climate change and various other issues that has literally left no one behind, and everyone is now paying for the climate change. And this decade is the decade for restoration, because after this decade, the 2030 is set as a target to achieve sustainable development goals. Not only that, 2030 stands the decade of restoration. That means we will, if we do not achieve the set targets by 2030, we will be never be able to restore, and we will regularly continue to pay for our deeds. So in other ways, the karma is going to hit back very badly, and we are going to pay, nature is going to strike back, because we have put it to such an extent that we will have, we will leave no choice to the nature to strike back to survive. So this decade of restoration, we have to remember such great personalities, great business commemoration, and great visionaries who have always stood on the right side, on the dharma, on the virtuous path of protecting the nature and fellow beings. That's why Tata Group will remain forever in the history, in the past, present, and even also in the future. Though they have numerous opportunities to become the wealthiest and richest in the world, they never took over any such businesses where it can take serious toll on human beings and fellow animals or plants for that matter, or others' life on earth and non-life on planet. So today it is very important day, in fact, for the entire world, where Sri Ratan Tata ji has born on his birth anniversary. We look at the great entrepreneur, visionary, who stood that in spite of being a huge conglomerate, and in the industry, they are more trusty, reliable, and most accountable, responsible citizens of the planet. At the same time, they continue to be the only role model. In fact, when we look at the kind of, uh, these business tycoons, or the kind of richest people among the richest people, we can probably say he can stand apart from all others who can really, stand as a role model for the entire rest of the rich or business houses, how sustainably a business can be taken up, and without venturing into any such business which can cause serious harm to human beings or animals, plants, and other at large to the entire planet. So Ratan Tata ji was born on December 28, 1937, and he is a prominent Indian industrialist and the former chairman of Tata Group of Companies, India's largest conglomerate. At the moment, he serves as the chairman emeritus of Tata Sons, the holding company for the Tata Group, which owns significant business like Tata Steel, Tata Motors, Tata Power, Tata Consultancy Services, Indian Hotels, and Tata Services, and many more. He is well-known philanthropist, and he has invested more than half of his group share in charity trusts. And we honor this wonderful person on this birthday today. No person on the planet, for that matter, in the business, has the credit of spending huge amount as in the form of philanthropy. No more than half of the profits he has kept for the philanthropy and various charity activities. So that itself, keeps him ahead, and no one can even come near him, having such a unique qualities. So Ratan Tata ji has born on December 28, 1937, and he is now around 85 years, and his net worth is worth $1 billion. He was born in Surat, India, to Naval Tata and Sonu. His parents separated when he was 10, and he was raised by his grandmother. He earned a BS degree in architecture from Cornell University in 1962. Thereafter, he enrolled in the Harvard Business School, where in 1975 he completed an advanced management program. Tata began his career in 1962 with the Tata Steel Company, working alongside blue-collar workers to shovel stones and maintain furnaces. It was hard work, but it gave him a better appreciation and respect for the family business. To resolve a financial situation at the National Radio and Electronics Company Limited, in short known as NELCO, he was appointed director in charge in 1971. He labored to create a superior consumer electronics division, but was transferred to the Tata's Group Falteri Textile Factory Express Mills in 1977. He was named the new chairman of the Tata Group of Companies by J.R.D. Tata in 1991. Under his direction, the industry's financial performance improved and the organization grew by leaps and bounds. Tata changed the division's leadership and strategic direction and increased dividends dramatically. He joined the Prime Minister's Council on Trade and Industry as well. He participated actively in India's AIDS Initiative program and sat on the advisory board of the R&D Center for Asia Pacific Policy. Additionally, he is also a member of American Worldwide Group, JP Morgan Chase, Mitsubishi Corporation, and Booz Allen Hamilton's International Advisory Board, and many others. Tata continues to be a successful businessman even after retiring in 2012 when he turned 75 and invests in new exciting projects. A bachelor, he has never married and prefers to lead a quiet life. He rides a Tata sedan and lives in the modest home in Mumbai. So in 1962, he joins Tata Steel Division. Tata begins his job at his Tata Steel Division, working alongside with blue-collar workers, shoveling stones and maintaining furnaces. You can see nowadays how the rich children are, they don't even know how, what kind of hardship is. But see, he joined as a very small employee where he used to pick the shovel. He used to work with the workers, that is manual labor, where they used to pick up these shoveling stones and maintain furnaces. from such grassroots position, he is now in the world's most reputed humanitarian in the world. And in 1971, Tata is appointed as director in charge of National Radio Electronics Company Limited, that is NELCO, to improve the company's financial position. In 1977, he joins Express Mills. Tata is transferred to the Tata's Group Floundering Textile Factory, Express Mills. And in 1991, he becomes the Tata Group chair. Tata is appointed chairman of the Tata Group of the companies by J.R.D. Tata. And in 2006, Tata begins his term as a member of advisory board of the Harvard Business School in India. And 2013, Tata services on the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace Board of Trustees. And his appointment to a think tank in 2013. He is exceptional. During his tenure as chairman of Tata Group, he contributed immensely to the development of the company. He was a visionary leader who took his organization to new heights. As already mentioned, he is a great humanist. So he contributed immensely to the lives of people, given them hope and encouraged them to dream big. He was dedicated and has dedicated his wealth and position to the advancement of others. He does not believe in flamboyant life. He never aimed or he ever showed his luxury. He has been simple, living a simple life since he began working. He is stickler for traditional values and believes in a quiet and modest life. That makes him stand apart from any billionaire and any business tycoon. And he has the recognition of ever the one and the only one to be remained in the history, present and future, for such a personality and such a great humanitarian. So Tata's grandmother, Navajbai Tata, the widow of Sir Ratanji Tata, raised him and legally adopted him through the J.N. Petit Parsi orphanage. Tata is not included among the world's richest person because more than 65% of the company's fortune goes to charitable organizations. So we may not find a Tata Group in the richest organizations because they never ever had focused in building wealth for themselves, because 65%, more than 65% of their profits goes to charity. So that is a kind of, person, a humble soul he was. If he could have kept everything for himself, he could have been the richest person of the world for years together and decades together. But he never thought such a selfish manner or a mean manner about his business or his conduct. And he always stood as a role model, and he always stood as a practical, humble soul for the traditional values and ethics, morals. That's why he is the unique personality, humanitarian. The world will remember him forever for his kind of humble and noble soul. Under his leadership, the Tata Education and Development Trust, the charitable arm of Tata Company, established the $28 million Tata Scholarship Fund to support Indian undergraduate students at Cornell University. And he is also a pilot, experienced and skilled pilot, and he piloted an F-16 Falcon in 2007. And he has a strong fondness for dogs and is proud owner of two of them, Taito and Maximus. These two are dog names which Tata owns. And Tata donated $50 million to the Harvard Business School in 2010 for the construction of an executive center. And he lives a very simple life. Tata's diet usually consists of pulao dal, baked custard with loads of nuts and tangy and sweet masoor dal, a thick stew of dried lentils, peas, or beans. And he was born in Gujarat, so his native language is Gujarati, but is well versed in other languages too. So that's how he remains, a unique personality. No matter today, we can name any other richest person in the world, maybe it may be Bill Gates or Zuckerberg or anyone for that matter, Tesla, or you name it any name, but no one can stand near him because of the kind heart and the noble soul he is and the noble thoughts he has, that he has been since inception and making profits. He was spending most of his, more than half of his profits to charity purpose. And if we take that into account, he will remember, he will remain forever the most richest person on the world. If you take the charity basis, and in the past, present, maybe in the future also, he will remain the richest person in the world to be contributing to the charity. But you can see there is no publicity, there is no grandiosity that is in this materialistic world where people spend 1 rupee and create a huge 1 crore publicity. But here you can see he is the most humanitarian who has spent so much of millions and billions of rupees. But you can see a very simple lifestyle, and you can see there is no grandiosity or no this kind of publicity that takes. So we should always take such role models where, publicity should not be a prime thing for everything. People say that once we left the world, people not wait for us to, you know, cremate or bury our body. They do not keep, no matter you may be the richest person in the world, but the moment the life leaves your body, you are no longer treated a living person. And, everyone will be looking to dispose you, cremate or bury your body. That's all. That's the end of everything of us. And everyone forgets us, no matter how much we love them, how much we don't. But we continue to remain in our own rat race, and we continue to be in the race. So such that why so much, we are running in a rat race where we are accumulating so much of wealth, and, that is spoiling the children, and they are not able to be accountable and responsible to the citizens of the world. And with that huge wealth, and they are, in protecting and developing further, they are using all sorts of illegal and high corruption that is engaged. And what you are going to do, what you are going to take with you. While coming, you did not get anything. While going, you are not going to take anything. That is a philosophy of life. That is the truth of life. And whatever few days we got, we have to live in such a way that we will be remembered forever for our humbleness, for our dedication, for our commitment, for our, down to earth, this thing. No matter how much you earn, how much degrees you, nowadays even it's not, we cannot say they are studying, they are buying degrees. In fact, no one has that sincerity. Rarely we see such kind of dedicated students also, where they come for just for getting degree without knowledge. And we can see there is a huge gap of uh, skill sets between the educational institutions and industry. Now we need to again train them in various skill sets, and we need to start skill development courses, and we need to have skill development programs. That itself says the kind of exception, having an exception with a few percentage of students who are really excelling in the world. Because of them, even today, the value of education still remains at a commendable position. But otherwise, if we see the kind of employment gap, and we see 75 to 85% of the educated people are still remaining unemployed because of this huge gap and attitude of the students who are not willing to learn. In fact, in spite of all the hardships, they are in the very first place, they are not even trying to put their hardships. No one has overnight turned richest or great. It takes everything from a lot of hardship is required for us to emerge like a diamond. The carbon goes through thousands and thousands of years hardship and pressure to turn itself into a diamond. In such a way, nowadays people are looking an easy way to get around, to become rich, famous, and to get around jobs and other things. These are not permanent, and in a long run, they are going to be a great pain and a great cause of misery in life, and you will just lead a mechanical life. To overcome, we need to appreciate what we have in the very first place, have gratitude to the resources, to the resource person, to the infrastructure, or to the opportunities we have. Most of the thing, no matter how much we preach, no matter how much we talk, at the end of the day, we are again, we are talking about gratitudes from morning to evening. Again, at the same time, we do not express our gratitude in a humble manner to everyone. Since morning, a milkman or a paperman or paper boy who is bringing paper or who is bringing milk to our house, or daily sewage workers or the sanitation workers who are picking up the uh, waste from our houses. Without them, can we start our day? Imagine what would happen. So all these things, no matter what, but are we expressing gratitude? First, the moment we sleep, we don't know whether tomorrow we will wake up or not. Are we expressing our gratitude to the Almighty, to our own family parents who has given us the birth, and our Almighty who has given one more day an opportunity to serve and to find purpose of life and to practice the purpose of life which we are there? No, we talk 24 hours. In the 24 hours, we may talk about 18 hours, 16 hours about the gratitude, but who is going to practice that? That makes the difference. No matter you talk 24/7 about gratitude, but if your practice does not, if that preaching does not portray in practice, so there is no purpose in talking, and people will also not believe in that. No, maybe today we are running a rat race of publicity also. No matter what you, but as long as you are serving, you are, you know, you are contributing, your recognition or your popularity will there. The moment you stop contributing, that is the end. That is the day where we lose all our popularity. And we have seen many such instances where, you know, the Fortune 500 companies also, few of them no longer exist today. they lost in the race. So in many such cases, so in many such instances, case studies in the history, we have seen what has happened. So we have to always remain humble, down to earth, and we should be personality like Tata ji, where he never thought of himself, but he put everyone's others also as part of him. And he was a great person. He never aimed to be the richest person of the world, though he has every opportunity to become one. And he spent more than 65% of his profits of wealth to the charities. This is a very great example for all of us. No matter how much you have, you will never be satisfied. You will still aim for something more. So the end for, to gain more is a never ending trap. You keep on aiming for more and more in every aspect. It may be in terms of education, it may be in terms of so it may be any such thing. So we always have to be very humble, no matter what we are today. But anything can happen tomorrow. So we have to express our gratitude, be humble. All these materialistic things, whether it may be our degrees or our wealth, they will no longer help us. Even the pandemic has shown the most richest also, even their families couldn't see their and attend to their last rites and even couldn't perform their last rites. So always we are never learning the lessons from the nature. We are never learning the lessons from the history. But these are the lessons that needs to be learned by every one of us, including me, you, and everyone. We have to remain humble. We have to express gratitude to everyone, including Almighty, those who is giving ample of opportunities instead of complaining. You start counting how much of blessings and grace you have received from the Almighty. Today, we are the most fortunate. There are people who are, the less fortunate or those who do not have a place to live, food to eat, and those who do not have shelter, those who do not have clothing, who do not have, education, those who do not have access to health or even for that matter, proper health. See that God has given us so much of those things and we are comparatively fortunate. So what does it mean that we are on the giving side? So we should not take that as an advantage, but we should take this as an opportunity to serve what best we can do to the community, fellow members, to the planet. Instead of that, what we are doing, we always need to retrospect and we should always be thankful to one. And we need to be optimistic, constructive, and if possible, we need to contribute to the development rather than always back talking and negative talks or detrimental or destructive gossips instead of engaging in it. Always be positive. There are a lot of critics who want to complain, and people are negatively biased. So always count at the blessings and grace you have. Look at the opportunities that will, and look at the others who are deprived, who are waiting for the opportunities. Then you will know what kind of opportunities we are having. There is a saying, unless and until we lose it, we don't know the value of it. So we should not be one among such large group of people where they don't understand before something is lost permanently, so that they will realize that what they have lost. We should not be in such thing. But more unfortunately, that is what happening. People are not realizing the value while they are possessing and only are regretting only after it is lost. So, dear friends, this is what happening in the present world because no one is happy. Even Facebook or Bill Gates, no matter what, they are also not happy in this world. That says that, no matter what wealth you have, no matter what kind of grandiosity or the kind of infrastructure or the kind of facilities we all are still human beings, and there is nothing above below us which is materialistic. So we all are human beings with a spiritual experience. So we all need to be very humble, and that is only what it is going to contribute us in various ways. So we will look at into further details of Tatas. From the torchbearer to transformer, Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata has played a significant role and shepherd and sentinel while guiding the Tata Group into new age, and he has done it in his own distinctive style. There are a host of reasons why Ratanaval Tata is worth of admiration, none more so than for the way he has sailed through the high tide of his life as the head of Tata Group with grace and a quiet dignity, all too rare in the tumult and cacophony that characterize the mostly grubby, sometimes noble intersection of business and life in today's India. The quietude is what sets him apart. You would expect a person such as Mr. Tata, tall of stature and blessed with typically striking looks of his Persian footwears, to stand out in the crowd. Not so. The helmsman of the Tata Group, whose solitary nature, humility, and intense effort to shun the arc lights can make him seen almost invisible in any gathering. The rectitude and resolve behind this person is of more consequence through defining as they have shape and substance of a remarkable business conglomerate during what has been the most transformative period in its long and storied history. Every chairman of Tata Sons, the holding company that is fastener keeping the many disparate elements of the world together, has left an indelible imprint on the group. J.R.D. Tata, who had led the group for over half a century, appointed Ratan Naval Tata to be his successor. Jamshedji Tata, the founder, with his ideals and his vision, laid the seeds for the flowering of the conglomerate. Dhruv Tata secured his father's legacy by realizing that vision. Nauroji Shaklatwala consolidated what had been created, and J.R.D. Tata, the last of his greatest patriarchs of Indian industry, molded the group in his own image, benevolent, urbane, and all encompassing. It is likely an understatement to say that Ratan Tata, who took over as a chairman in March 1991, was stepping into big shoes, and he was stepping into a minefield less than a decade from the new millennium. The Tata Group was a bloated, unevenly managed, and excessively bureaucratic behemoth operating in an India that had only begun jettisoning the jargon of socialism and the shibboleth of policy making that had promised plenty but delivered little. Worse, Mr. Tata was seen many by many as an interloper with none of the charisma of his charisma, the capability of the legend. who had preceded him, an accidental chieftain who had ascended to the top mainly by his virtue of his surname and lineage. More than 20 years later, it can be argued without favor or prejudice that Mr. Tata has changed the group for a better in more substantial manner than any of the luminaries under whose care the organization evolved since its inception in 1868. That he has done this while staying true to the traditions and tenets of the group in an environment where so many have succumbed to the allure of the soft buck, make his accomplishments exemplary. By coincidence or destiny, Mr. Tata's becoming chairman got synchronized with the opening up of India's economy. Here was a chance to fashion a new kind of organization, to regenerate and recast its many enterprises to suit a radically altered business dynamic. Mr. Tata says the day he welcomed the opportunities that came with the death of License Raj. He fortified the Tata embarkments to guard against the threats that arrived in equal profusion. He embraced the prospect of taking the group to foreign shores. He made it more cohesive, introduced fresh thinking, fostered innovation, and sparked in his charges an appetite for the calculated risk taking that appears in hindsight truly extraordinary. In doing this and more, Mr. Tata has buried forever talk of not being the right person for the chairmanship, a post he had never been groomed for, had never solicited, or even thought himself fit to occupy. The Tata Group was not, after all, part of the future Tata had set out to such as a teenager. Born to Nawal and Sonu Tata on December 28, 1937, Mr. Tata and his younger brother Jimmy were brought up by their grandmother, Nawajbal R. Tata, in a Baroque manor called Tata Palace in downtown Bombay, now called Mumbai. Life was luxurious. The young Ratan was driven to the school in a Rolls Royce, but Lady Nawajbal, a formidable matriarch, instilled a strong set of values in her grandchildren. She was very indulgent, but also quite strict in terms of discipline. Mr. Tata would recall in one of those rare interviews where he opened up about his growing up years. We were very protected and we didn't have many friends. I had to learn the piano and I played a lot of cricket. So Mr. Tata was schooled at Campion, then at Cathedral and John Cunnan, both in Bombay, where he spent last three of his schooling years. Already he was well on his way to becoming the person he is today. Speaking to an excited bunch of pupils at Cathedral and John Cannon in March 2009, he said, I was shy back then. One thing I never recovered from is a fear of public speaking. The only people speaking publicity in school were those reading out the sermon at assembly and those participating in debates. I wasn't among either, nor was I into too many extracurricular activities. I particularly remember a mathematics teacher who I felt was determined that I never complete school. He almost succeeded. This was said by Mr. Tata, as quoted. Finish with the school, he did, and then it was on the Cornell University in the United States, a nation and a state of mind that Mr. Tata would fall in love with. Cornell, where he studied architecture and structural engineering, and those years in America from 1955 to 1962 would influence Mr. Tata tremendously. It was in multiple ways the making of him. He traveled the country and got so charmed by California and the West Coast lifestyle, he was ready to settle down in Los Angeles. The spell was broken when the Lady Noble Nawajbai's health deteriorated, Mr. Tata was forced to return to a life he thought he had left behind. I was in Los Angeles and very happily so. And that was where I was when I left before I should have left. Mr. Tata would say in 2011 interview with CNN. Now back in India, Mr. Tata had a job offer from IBM. JRD Tata wasn't amused. He called me one day and he said, "You can't be here in India and working for IBM." I was in the IBM office and I remember he asked me for a resume, which I didn't have. The office had electric typewriters, so I sat one evening and typed out a resume on their typewriter and gave it to him. And that was how Mr. Tata came to be offered a job in 1962 with Tata Industries, the promoter company of the group. He would go on to spend 6 months at Telco, now called Tata Motors, before joining Tisco, now called Tata Steel in 1963. So back at Cornell, Mr. Tata had spent his initial 2 years studying engineering in deference to his father's wishes rather than any real inclination on his part. Then he made the switch to architecture, much to my father's consternation, though he would go on incredibly enough to complete both courses in under 7 years. Unlike his eldest son, Naval Tata was a gregarious and outgoing personality, equally at home in the company of kings and the commoners. He became a director of Tata Sons, an eminent figure in the International Labour Organization, and a well regarded sports administrator. Between father and son, though the difference is temperament showed, we were close and we were not. Mr. Tata would write in a special publication that celebrated the lives of Jamshedji Tata, JRD Tata, and Naval Tata. I left India when I was 15 for a decade. I would have to say that, as often happens between a father and son, there was perhaps a divergence of views. And as quoted by Tata, my father hated confrontations. He was very good at negotiating settlements. Frequently, that settlement would involve a compromise, and he was all for the give and take. As a person, he gave in a great deal, and sometimes, as a younger and less mature people, we would fight with them for coinciding ground, for conceding ground in the quest for a solution, for peace, or whatever. Some of that need for conciliation and cooperation, that concern for people and their feelings, is certainly in Mr. Tata's genes too. The memories of those who shared the shop floor with him at Tata Steel in Jamshedpur attest to the truth. And those qualities of caring were also evident when he became the director of National Radio and Electronics, or NELCO, as it was better known, his maiden independent leadership mission. The battles that Mr. Tata had to fight to establish his control over the group following the passing away of JRD Tata in 1993 has been told often. What has attracted little comment that has been the decency that Mr. Tata displayed in the face of flak that was fired at him, that has been and continues to be the Ratan Tata style, to do it his way and be peace with the world. It can seem at times that Mr. Tata preserves the integrity of his disdain for the unfounded criticism by pickling it in silence. That may be an appropriate response in an age where, as one business commentator put it, poverty, paranoia, and financial illiteracy have combined into a dangerous brew, one that has made economic virtuosity look suspiciously like social vice. His training as an architect may have something to do with Mr. Tata's presence for deeds over words. Architecture, that inescapable art, is nothing if not an expression of worth through work, a medium that inevitably suffers when explained in writing or speech. As he says often, architecture has provided him with the equipment to be a perceptive business leader. Pity is Mr. Tata has had only a handful of opportunities to use that equipment in the discipline proper. A house he designed for his mother, an abode in Alibag, and his own seafront home in Mumbai being the most prominent of these. Mr. Tata has had a bit more time for his other desires, flying and fast cars, both of them, like so much else born in Cornell Cauldron, have been enduring passion, as was scuba driving till his ears could take the pressure no more. A teetotaler and a non-smoker, Mr. Tata has consciously chosen to stay single. That seems so much like the man, a lonesome warrior, wedded to the Tata cause. The company he keeps in his book lined Adobe in Mumbai, in his German shepherds, Tilto and Tango, and his fondness for them has always been boundless. Too many of these pets of their Mr. Tata have been snatched away by death, and the loss has taken its toll. But he is not quite ready to give up on the chance to bond with yet another loyal bounder. My love for dogs as pets is ever strong and will continue for as long as I live, he said in a recent interview with Tata Review. There is an indescribable, there is an indescribable sadness every time one of my pets passes away, and I resolve I cannot go through another parting of the net of that nature. And yet, 2 to 3 years down the road, my home becomes too empty and too quiet for me to live without them. So there is another dog that gets my affection and attention, just like the last one. So that's distinctively Mr. Tata, a leader and an individual not afflicted by the curse of certainty. That may be why his explanation on any issue or subject are punctuated frequently with words such as perhaps, probably, and possibly. It puts him in the same league as a writer, as a rhetorician Christopher Hitchens, who, when asked with the word he had most overused, said it was perhaps. And what Mr. Tata has been definite about is the need for him to step aside and let a new generation navigate the Tata ship. Now there will be other frontiers to find and interests to be pursued. He owns less than 1% of the group that bears his family name, but he is a titan nonetheless, the most powerful businessman in India and one of the most influential in the world, stated The Economist in a 2011 profile of Mr. Tata. Ageism cannot keep still a person such as that. There are some things which cannot be learned quickly, and time, which is all we have, must be paid heavily for acquiring, said Ernest Hemingway. There are very simplest things, and because it takes a man's life to know them, the little new that each man gets from life is very costly, and the only heritage he has to leave. So, what Ratan Tata has learned and passed on, and what his triumphs and his conduct reveal, that surely will be his legacy. So, that's why we say a legend in the past, a legend in the present, and a legend in the future. That's a credit that Tata will keep himself forever. So his life and his times, there are important milestones that we will look at. In 1937, Ratan Tata was born to Sonu and Naval Tata, as already mentioned. 1955, leaves for Cornell University, Ithaca, New York, USA at age 17, goes on to study architecture and engineering over a 7-year period. 1962, awarded Bachelor of Architecture degree. 1962, joins the Tata Group as an assistant in Tata Industries. Later in the year, spent 6 months training at the Jamshedpur plant of Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company, now called Tata Motors. 1963, moves to Tata Iron and Steel Company, or TISCO, now called Tata Steel, at its Jamshedpur facility for a training program. 1965, is appointed technical officer in TISCO's engineering division. 1969, works as the Tata Group President representative in Australia. 1970, returns to India, joins Tata Consultancy Services, then a software fledgling for a short stint. 1971, is named director in charge of National Radio and Electronics, better known as NELCO, and Ailing Electronics Enterprise. In 1974, joins the board of Tata Sons as a director. 1975, completes the advanced management program at Harvard Business School. 1981, is appointed chairman of the Tata Industries, begins the process of transforming it into a promoter of high technology businesses. 1983, drafts the Tata Strategic Plan. 1986 to 1989, serves as the chairman of Air India, the national carrier. March 25, 1991, takes over the J.R.D. Tata as chairman of Tata Sons and chairman of the Tata Trust. 1991, began restructuring of the Tata Group at a time when the liberalization of the Indian economy is underway. That is a period where our new economic policy has been brought, and liberalization, privatization, and globalization was given a boost. 2000 onwards, the growth and globalization drive of Tata Group gathers pace under his stewardship, and the new millennium sees a strong and string of high-profile Tata acquisitions. Among them were Tetley, Chorus, Jaguar Land Rover, Brunner Bond, General Chemical Industries Products, and Devo, and many others. 2008, launches the Tata Nano, born of the trailblazing small car project he guided and commanded with zeal and determination. In 2008, is awarded the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian honor by the Government of India. December 2012, steps down as chairman of Tata Sons after 50 years with the Tata Group, is appointed as chairman emeritus of Tata Sons. So briefly, let's look into the important milestones and history of Tata Group. Since 1918, the growth of years, Sir Ratan Tata passes away in 1919, and Sir Ratanji Tata Trust and Allied Trust is set up with a corpus of rupees 8 million. Sir Ratan Tata Trust and Allied Trust. And in 1920, India sends her first Olympic team to the games in Antwerp largely due to Sir Dorabji's Tataji's efforts in 1924. He finances the Indian team headed to the Paris Games for Olympics. And 1929, the 24-year-old Tata, J.R.D. Tata, receives the first pilot license in India, the culmination of a childhood fascination with flying and with a legendary aviator, Louis Blériot. So he was the first to receive first pilot license in India. And he loves flying a lot. And in 1932, Indians aviation aspires soar as JRD pilots a flight from Karachi to Mumbai, Tata Airlines. From Karachi to Mumbai, Tata Airlines, later Air India was born. And you know, Tata Air India is again, which was nationalized and taken up by Government of India, is now back to the hands of Tata due to, government was literally facing a lot of losses and was unable to manage it. Though the national carrier is now, which was taken away by from Tatas, is back to Tatas now again. And there is a great hope now that it will take its lost glory back. Yeah. So in 1936, Tata Institute of Social Sciences is established, pioneering social work education in India, and it remains a great institution of excellence to this day. And as a social worker, we all are proud that social work as a profession, as an academic discipline was brought to in India by Tatas through Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And in 1938, Sir Nauroji passes away, propelling J.R.D. Tata to be the position of chairman at 34. And he is the youngest in the group's history. In 1939, Tata Chemicals is incorporated in isolated coastal Mithapur. A thriving community grows around the plant as company grows into a market leader. In 1941, the Tata Memorial Hospital is commissioned by Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. It pioneers cancer treatment in the country that offers access to cancer for all. And in 1945, the group's rapid business expansion continues with the establishment of Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company. By 2000, it is rechristened as Tata Motors. And in 1946, Naval Tata is named president of the Indian Hockey Association. Under his watch, India achieves Olympic glory with GLADS in 1948, 1952, and 1956. 1952, women across the country celebrate as the group launches India's first cosmetics brand, Lakme. It is sold to Hindustan Unilever along with Tomco in 1984. So Tata takes the credit of launching first cosmetic brand in India, that is Lakme. 1954, Voltas is incorporated and is associated with multiple prestigious projects, making it a leading engineering solutions provider and air conditioning brand. In 1962, the group's interest in the beverages space is brewing. Tata Finlay, later Tata Tea, now Tata Global Beverages is born. And Tata's Tea's popular campaign have included Asli Tazgi in the 90s featuring a Bollywood hit and recently Jago Rail. 1968, India's first software services company, Tata Consultancy Services, ushers in a new era. Today, it is a truly global enterprise with a presence in 46 countries. So Tata takes the credit of establishing the first software services company, a truly multinational and a global company, which is in 46 countries now. In 1969, J.R.D. Tata and Dr. Jamshed Baba envisioned a performing arts center and entered the National Center for Performing Arts was started. Even in various fields, Tata has laid foundation and has fostered and promoted various industries, arts, and traditions in the nation. So that's why they will be cherished forever. In 1982, the Taj Group accelerates its international expansion with the acquisition of St. James Court in London, UK, 2 years after the company's first international hotel in Yemen. You know, the Taj, famous Taj group of hotels by Tatas. In 1983, Tata Chemical introduces Tata Salt, the country's first iodized branded salt, the Desh Ka Namak, to build a healthy nation. And Tata Salt campaign promoting its new packaging in 2015. So it addressed the iodine deficiency across the nation by introducing iodized branded salt. In 1984, the group clocks another win as Titan Industries, a JV with the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation, in short known as TIDCO, makes a splash in a watch-starved market. So the launch of Titan watches. And in 1991, Telco, now known as Tata Motors, cruises into the passenger vehicle space with Tata Sierra, followed by Tata Estate in 1992. The Tata Sierra marks Tata Motors' foray into passengers vehicle market. In 1992, Titan launches Raga to tap into the women's watch segment, and later on Fast Track, launched in 1988, becomes an iconic youth brand, a real campaign for Tata Raga featuring Bollywood star Kriti Sanon. In 1994, Titan revolutionizes the Indian jewelry market with Tanishq The retail brand brings transparency to an unorganized sector. A recent festive Tanish campaign featuring brand ambassador Deepika Padukone. In 1998, Tata Indica, India's first indigenously designed and manufactured car, and Tata Safari, India's first SUV, are launched. Ratan Tata drives the first Tata Indica off the assembly line. In 2000, Tata Tea, now called as Tata Global Beverages, acquires iconic then 160-year-old British Tetley Group. Today, it is the second largest tea brand globally. Tetley's 180 years old journey. In 2001, the group strengthens its presence in the insurance sector with the two joint ventures, Tata AIG this year and Tata AIA in 2000. So Tata's ATS 2018 campaign with hashtag love unconditional. In 2002, the Tata Group acquires a controlling stake in BSNL, that is Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited, establishing Tata Communications. The company is a global leader in networking solutions, mobility, and IoT, Internet of Things. And they have paid 152 crores at that time to the Department of Economic Affairs, for Ministry of Finance, for expansion. And in 2003, the TCS is the first Indian software company to cross $1 billion in revenue. It goes public in 2004 in the largest IPO in India. Chairman Emeritus Ratan Tata, flanked by then CEO S. Ramadurai and then EVP Firoz Vandrella, lists the TCS on the NSE, National Stock Exchange. In 2004, Tata Motors acquires the heavy vehicles unit of Daewoo Motors, in the same year listed on the New York Stock Exchange. In 2006, the group responds to the transforming satellite entertainment space by launching DTH, direct-to-home provider, that is Tata Sky. A recent Tata Sky campaign featuring South India's cinema star Nayanthara. And 2007, the Tata Steel acquires Chorus, now Tata Steel Europe. It is Europe's second largest steel producer, serving construction, automotive, packaging, and engineering industries. 2008, Tata Motors unveils the people's car, that is Tata Nano, to make safe transport affordable to millions. It also acquires iconic British car maker Jaguar Land Rover. 2011, Tata Medical Center, a comprehensive cancer care and treatment facility designed especially to serve the poor in the region, is inaugurated by Ratan Tata. The Tata Medical Center provides free treatment to everyone and anyone with world-class treatment options and infrastructure and technology. 2012, TGBL's JV with international coffee giant Starbucks is welcomed by coffee lovers. The next 5 years see the fastest rollout of stores in Starbucks history. Starbucks partners bringing a unique culture. In 2014, Bombay House is the first heritage building in India to receive a gold rating by Indian Green Building Council. 2 years later, it receives a platinum rating. 2015, that is followed by Vistara Tata Sons JVs with Singapore Airlines. It celebrates flying 1 million customers that same year. Vistara salutes JRD with Retrojet. 2017, N. Chandrasekaran, CEO and MD of TCS since 2009, is appointed chairman of Tata Sons by the board of directors. In 2018, TCS becomes the first Indian listed company, IT company, to breach $100 billion in the market capitalization, ushering a new phase of growth in India. In 2019, in May 2019, the Global Beverages and Tata Chemicals announced transaction to combine their customer brands and create a new entity, Tata Consumer Products Limited. In 2020, in January, Tata Motors announced the launch of India's own electric SUV, Nexon EV, ushering in a new wave of e-mobility in the country. Backed by Tata Universe, the company is poised to create a holistic EV ecosystem to accelerate the adoption of EVs in India. So head of Tata Sons conglomerate with interests in everything from salt, tea to steel is India's best brand ambassador. Made automotive history last year with a decade before with $2,200. Tata Nano, the world's cheapest auto, calls Nano the people's car. In a nation of billion environmentalists call it as eco-disaster. Not far off. After Nano debuted in 2008, Indian passengers car sales rose most in 3 years in 2009. 3 Tata competitors now working on Nano copycats. It was quoted by Forbes in 2010, March 11th, Ratan Tata as holding $291 billion in 2010 most powerful people earnings. And is credited with various awards like received Padma Bhushan in 2000, Padma Vibhushan in 2008, and the third and the second highest civilian awards by the Government of India. In 2021, he received the highest civilian award of Assam Vaibhav, for his exceptional contribution towards further cancer care in Assam. Other awards received include, but not limited to, 2001 Honorary Doctor of Business Administration, Ohio State University; 2004 Medal of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay, Government of Uruguay; 2004 Honorary Doctor of Technology, Asian Institute of Technology; 2005 International Distinguished Achievement Award, NAI International; 2005 Honorary Doctor of Science, University of Warwick. 2006 Honorary Doctor of Science, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. 2006 Responsible Capitalism Award for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. First, in short, 2007 Honorary Fellowships, the London School of Economics and Political Science. 2007 Carnegie Medical of Philanthropy, Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. 2008 Honorary Doctor of Law, University of Cambridge. 2008 Honorary Doctor of Science, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. 2008 Honorary Doctor of Science, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. 2008 Honorary Citizen Award, Government of Singapore. 2008 Honorary Fellowship, the Institute of Engineering and Technology. 2008 Inspired Leadership Award, the Performance Theatre. 2009 Honorary Knight Commander of the Order of the British Empire, in short known as KBE, by Queen Elizabeth II. 2009 Lifetime Contribution Award in Engineering for 2008, Indian National Academy of Engineering. 2009 Grand Officer of the Order of Merit of the Italian Republic by Government of Italy. 2010 Honorary Doctor of Law by University of Cambridge. 2010 Handrian Award by World Monuments Fund. 2010 Oslo Business for Peace Award, Business of Peace Foundation. Legend in Leadership Award from Yale University. Honorary Doctor of Laws, Pepperdine University. Business for Peace Award, Business for Peace Foundation. Business Leader of the Year by the Asian Awards. And 2012 Honorary Fellow, the Royal Academy of Engineering. And Doctor of Business Honoris Causa, University of New South Wales. Grand Cordon of the Order of the Rising Sun by Government of Japan. Foreign Associate from National Academy of Engineering. 2013 Transformational Leader of the Decade, Indian Affairs India Leadership Conclave 2013. M. Standing Entrepreneur of the Year, Lifetime Achievement Award by N.S. Standing. Honorary Doctor of Business Practice, Carnegie Mellon University. Honorary Doctor of Business, Singapore Management University. Satyaji Ratna Award in 2014 by Baroda Management Association. Honorary Knight Grand Cross of the Order of British Empire, GBE by Queen Elizabeth II. Honorary Doctor of Laws, York University, Canada. Honorary Doctor of Automotive Engineering, Clemson University. Satyaji Ratna Award, again in 2015 by Baroda Management Association. Honoris Causa, HE Paris. Commander of the Legion of Honor by Government of France, 2016. 2018 Honorary Doctorate, Swansea University. And 2022 Honorary Doctorate of Literature by HSNC University. And Mega Icons 2018 to 2020, an Indian documentary television series on National Geographic about prominent Indian personalities, dedicated an episode to Ratan Tata's contributions. He has also appeared on Rendezvous with Simi Garwal, an informal chat show hosted by Indian actress Simi Garwal and many others. J.R.D. Tata was 15 when he took a joyride in a plane in France and decided that he would become a pilot. In 1932, he pioneered the aviation industry in India when he set off the inaugural flight from Karachi to Bombay. It was the first decade of the 20th century. Two young boys spent their summer holidays at Hardy Lot, a beach resort near Boulogne in northern France. One was the son of legendary Louis Blériot, the first man to fly across the English Channel in 1909. The other was the son of Indian industrialist R.D. Tata. As they played, the boys would occasionally see blurry chief pilot Adolf Pegaud land a plane on the beach. Pegaud was the first man to loop the loop in a plane, and he was a hero, especially for Tata's young son, Jahangir. In such small beginnings lie the seed of history. The exploits of the Frenchman stirred the heart of the young Indian. At the age of 15, after taking a joyride in a plane at Hardelt, Jahangir decided to become a pilot and, if possible, make the career in aviation. Young Jahangir had to wait 9 years. He was 24 before a flying club opened in his hometown, Bombay, India, 5,000 miles away from that windswept beach in northern France. Though not the first to register, he was the first Indian to pass out with the number one endorsed on his flying license. And so it came to pass that India's first pilot was to pour most of his creative genius into building an airline for his country, giving his nation wings. So those were years of adventure. In 1930, the Aga Khan announced the prize of £500 to the first Indian who would fly solo between England and India, starting at either end. Among the competition was a young man called Manmohan Singh. His spirit was willing, but his navigation was weak. Twice he felt he left England with a flourish to fly to India. Twice he lost his way over Europe and had to fly back to England to start all over again. C.G. Gray, editor of the aeroplane, observed, Mr. Manmohan Singh has called his aeroplane Miss India, and he is likely to. Another hopeful from the England and was 18-year-old as by engineer. Still another to enter for fun, taking off from Karachi end was the now 26-year-old Jehangir Tata. At Aboukir near Alexandria in Egypt, JRD ran into Aspi, who had left England a week earlier and who was stranded for want of spark plugs. JRD gave Aspi his spare spark plugs and they took off in opposite directions. Aspi reached Karachi a few hours before JRD reached England, winning the prize. On the strength of his performance, Aspi was admitted into the Indian Air Force, which had just been created. Aspi Engineering was the second Indian to be the chief of the Air Staff JRD. Meanwhile, had another ambition. He did not have long to wait. On an exciting October dawn in 1932, a puss moth and I soared joyfully from Karachi with our first precious load of mail on an inaugural flight to Bombay. As we hummed towards our destination at a dazzling 100 miles an hour, I breathed a silent prayer for the success of our venture and for the safety of those who worked for it. We were a small team in those days. We shared success and failures, the joys and headaches, as together we built up the enterprise, which later was to blossom into Air India and Air India International. So the first flight in the history of Indian aviation lifted off from Karachi with JRD Tata at the controls of a Pasma. So when JRD landed on the Juhu mud flats that October day in 1932, India's first air service was inaugurated. He does not take the credit for it. He gives it instead to a far-seeing Englishman, a former officer of the RAF called Neville Vincent, who a year earlier had come to India, barnstorming the countries giving joyrides. Neville Vincent offered JRD Tata a project to start an airline. The then chairman of Tata Sons, Sandarabji Tata, was not a bit enthusiastic about the proposition, but the initial investment was small, that is 2 lakh rupees at that time in those days. And he was persuaded by JRD's mentor and colleague John Peterson to give his approval. We had no aids whatsoever on the ground or in the air, JRD recalls. No radio, no navigational or landing guides of any kind. In fact, we did not even have an aerodrome in Bombay. We used a mud flat at Juhu, fishing village cum beach resort near city. The sea was below what we called our airfield, and during the monsoon, the runway was below the sea. So we had to pack up each year, lock, stock, and barrel 2 planes, 3 pilots, and 3 mechanics, and transfer ourselves to Pune. Now Pune, where we were allowed to use a maiden as an aerodrome, appropriately under the shadow of the Yerwada jail. The annual report of the Directorate of Civil Aviation, DCA of India, for the year 1933-34 stated, as an example how airmail service should be run, we commented the efficiency of Tata Services, who on October 10, 1933, arriving at Karachi as usual to time, completed a year working with 100% punctuality, even during the most difficult monsoon months when rainstorms increase. The perils of the Western Ghat portion of the route, no mail from Madras or Bombay, missed connection at Karachi, nor was the mail delivered late on a single occasion at Madras. Our esteemed Transcontinental Airways, alias Imperial Airways, might send their staff on deputation to Tatas to see how it is done. That was the discipline, commitment, and the punctuality Tata's work with the comment of DCA. And Karachi was chosen as a starting point because Imperial Airways terminated there. And with the mail from England and the route chosen by Tata's was Karachi, Bombay's Madras. So Tata's requested the government for a small subsidy for carrying the mail, as was a normal practice in other countries. The subsidy asked for was small, but the government declined. So Tata's reduced the figure to a bare minimum. Government still declined. So Tata's decided that they would just give the service to the country, collecting the little stamps such as which will address put on the envelope to connect it with the Imperial Airways at Karachi. When asked why did they do so, Jardi replied, Vincent and I had faith in the future of aviation and believed that if we came in the beginning of an era, we had a better chance ultimately to achieve growth and leadership in that field. The unfolding years were to justify that faith. In 1936, the All-Up Empire Mail Service was launched by British government, under which all first-class mail traveled by air without surcharge, and Tata Airlines revenue soared. At the beginning, the airplanes were so small and the service was restricted to mail, but a single passenger was occasionally allowed to sit on the top of the mail bags, usually with his heels higher than his head. In 1936, larger aircraft, though single engine, were still introduced. Tatas felt the need to give more sophisticated training to their pilots and hired an instructor from England to start a training center for pilots. The Bombay Delhi service was inaugurated in 1937. Then came the war, and all services, including Tata's, were commanded by the government of India. With their airline operations severely restricted and controlled, Neville Vincent and J.R.D. Tata looked for alternative avenues for brimming enthusiasm and their growth expertise. Especially exciting opportunity they felt offered itself a field of aircraft manufacture, whereas the construction of metal aircraft would have involved an elaborately equipped factory. The de Havilland Mosquito, an outstanding twin-engined fighter bomber made of wood, could felt be put quickly into production in India. Tata's therefore submitted in 1942 a project to the British government for the large-scale manufacture of Mosquito aircraft in a factory they would build for the purpose in Pune. So the project was approved by the British government and a new company, Tata Aircraft, was formed to give it life. Land was acquired and a large factory building constructed. Had this plane come off, Tata's would have gone into aircraft production. So the British government had second thoughts and decided instead that invasion gliders should be built under the project. This change was reluctantly accepted by Tata's as the work of building the factory, recruiting staff, and organizing manufacture has already gone too far to be abandoned. The project was revised accordingly. Neville Vincent was a man of great physical courage and resourcefulness. More than once, he flew to England for discussions with the British authorities. Usually, flying by Imperial Airways long range aircraft, he was flown by a sufficiently circuitous route to keep out of range of German fighters. Tragically, however, on one occasion, Vincent, as an ex-RAF officer, arranged to get a lift on RAF Hudson bomber on the first leg of a flight from England to Gibraltar. The plane never reached Gibraltar and was reported to have been shot down off the coast of France. The loss of Vincent was grievous blow to Tata's and to JRD personally, for apart from being the able and moving spirit behind Tata Airlines and Tata Aircraft, that he was Vincent and JRD were close friends. This tragic blow was followed by the cancellation of the project itself by the British, who, in response to Tata's own inquiries on the subject, discovered that invasion gliders made by Tata in Pune could not be used in the war because there was no aircraft to tow them. So thus came to a tragic end of the project on which Tata JRD had set his heart, and which, if it had gone through as originally planned, would probably have resulted in another invaluable addition to India's industry. In 1946, Tata Airlines, a division of Tata Sons, went public and became a joint stock company. It was called Air India. The age of passenger travel has arrived and there was to be plenty of competition. Even during wartime, Tatas were working on a scheme to extend their services to London. In October 1947, in the turmoil of the post-partition period, Tatas proposed to the Indian government a service to Europe. They placed an order for 3 Lockheed Constellations on faith that this venture would be approved. It was a measure of their faith in the newly born independent India than in the convulsions of the partition of the subcontinent. Tata's proposed that the Indian government take 49% of the capital, Tata's 25%, and the rest to be publicly subscribed. The government had the right to buy a further 2% from Tata's, taking their share to 51%, giving them total control. So this was the first ever proposal of a joint enterprise between the private and public sector in the country. The proposal was made by J.R.D. Tata at a most inappropriate time when the communal strife raged in Delhi. To his astonishment, J.R.D. got acceptance to his joint sector proposal from the government within weeks. Many years later, he asked a senior cabinet minister, Jagjeevan Ram, why a decision could be made so speedily in those days when today it took government at least 2 years not to make a decision. Mr. Ram replied, we did not know any better then. So the proposal provided for a new company to be called Air India International. It was to be managed and provided with its staff, its maintenance and its services by Tata's domestic airline, Air India. On June 8, 1948, Air India International, with its famous Maharaja, spread its wings to Europe. The fledgling airline soon established itself as one of the finest air carriers of the world. Meanwhile, India's domestic airlines were heading for a crisis. At the end of the war, planes were disposed of by the American 10th Air Force in India at throwaway prices. For political reasons, the government sanctioned every airline applicant, and India soon found itself with 11 airlines, while there was a room for only 2 or 3. As a result, they all ran into a rough weather, for there were not enough traffic routes to allocate among them. Except Air India, all the airlines lost heavily. In 1953, the government took a decision to nationalize the airlines, proposing to merge them into a single state corporation with JRD as chairman. Mr. Tata advised that the domestic and international airlines of India should be kept apart and 2 separate corporations to be formed. The suggestion was accepted, and he was invited to head the international airline, a task he accepted. For the next 25 years, he was to be the chairman of Air India and the director on board for Indian Airlines. The international airlines business is ferociously competitive, and JRD, chairman of some of the largest companies in India, had to give more and more time to running of the Air India. He carried this burden happily, for aviation was and remains his first love. He did everything he could do to make Air India as good as the best among world airlines. Its planes were lavishly decorated. He insisted that even if a plane was used for 20 years, it should always look as if it had come out of its factory, a new inside and outside. And it did. With Air India efficiently run, JRD saw no reason why all public undertakings could not also be run to the world's best standards and be profitable. That was the commitment and dedication and discipline, you know, that JRD Tata still now have. As chairman, JRD believed in personalized attention. He was dubbed as a perfectionist, for he called upon his staff, always aim at perfection, for only then will you achieve excellence. On every flight on which he traveled, he kept detailed notes of his observations and would painstakingly take action on them. on return to the base. He gave India pride in its national airline. His 46-year aviation career spanned an era from the wood and fabric of the little two-seater Pasmoth to the gleaming 400-seater Boeing 747. He insisted that there should be no compromise on operating and maintenance standards or on service. One of the airline's publicity chiefs recalls how he once received a midnight phone call at his home from the chairman suggesting how to improve the wording on a publicity hoarding. We had to give so much of ourselves because he gave so much of himself, said the executive. So Air Marshal Noor Khan, former head of the Pakistan Air Force and later chairman of Pakistan International Airlines, when asked by an Indian magazine what he thought of his neighbor airline, Air India, and its then chairman J.R.D. Tata, he replied, "A great airline and the JRD is an epic figure. In recognition of this epic figure's services to air transport, JRD was made the recipient in 1979 of the Tony Janus Award, named after the founder pilot of the first scheduled airline in the world, which began in Tampa, Florida in 1912. Among its recipients are the inventor of the jet engine, Sir Frank Whittle, the developers of the Concorde SST, the founders of the Douglas Aircraft Corporation, Pan Am, the Eastern and United Airlines." Other awards followed in 1989. The Daniel Guggenheim Medal Award, first conferred on Orville Wright, was presented to J.R.D. Tata. So with this now you know that that's why we call, he will be remembered forever. He was a legend, he will be the legend, and even in present and future. And as long as the modern India is recognized, Tatas are going to have their name associated with our Indian economy. Keeping traditional values, morals, and ethics intact, even in tough competition, competing with the world. So with this, we shall end the commemoration for the day. Hope everyone has enjoyed today's session, and quickly fill up the feedback form. Feedback form has been raised in the form of polls. You can see a window with the overall feedback form. It is mandatory to fill up the feedback form. Before leaving the platform, kindly fill up the feedback form. It is through this form we collect the details for preparation of certificate. So we have 5 minutes for the feedback form. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.